Okay, my name's Kevin Aguano, and today we're going to have a webinar with the speaker Vijay Verma. Vijay is a very popular speaker in this webinar series. We run these webinars every couple weeks throughout the year, free webinar series where people can learn about various management-related topics and learn from some of the best in the industry. Vijay Verma today is going to be speaking on leader or manager, the art of balancing both to achieve success. Vijay is a well-known figure in the project management community. He's a fellow of PMI and the Project Management Association of Canada. He's got his PMP. He's a professional engineer, and he is a semi-retired, I guess, emeritus member of Triumph, the Tri-University Mason facility, which is an advanced particle research facility at the University of British Columbia. Vijay is a well-known project management speaker and author. 3 of his project management books, the first 3 books that he wrote, are the top 3 selling project management books worldwide after the PMBOK guide. So we're very lucky to have him on this call, and we always learn a lot from his presentations. Fascinating presenter. Vijay, take it away.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Good morning, everybody. As Kevin mentioned, the topic for today's webinar is leader or a manager, the art of balancing both to achieve success. And I think the big question there is that we all are in project management. We have to lead projects, we have to manage projects, we have to organize projects, and sometimes we have to put the hat of a leader, sometimes you have to put the hat of a manager. And the important thing is, how do you balance both to achieve success? Well, this is me. I think Kevin has done all the introduction for me already. I worked for 39 years at Triumph, which is a Tri-University Mason facility. It's a particle accelerator at University of British Columbia, which is just like CERN. Many of you must know or might know actually CERN in Geneva, which is the largest particle accelerator in the world. And Triumph actually is Canada's CERN. That's what it is. My passion is on the human side of project management. These were the 3 books that were published by PMI: Organizing Projects for Success, Human Skills for the Project Manager, Managing the Project Team. And at that time, there were no books on the human side of project management. They came out in 95, 96, 97. In the early days, they were the part of the PMP required reading. And my 4th book came out in June 2018, which was launched at Project World Conference in Toronto. And I'm working on my 5th book. Actually, we have finished that, the manuscript. And that will be Leading with Purpose, Positive Power and Inspirational Influence. And I've been asked to update these PMI books, which I'm in the process of, because of getting comments from many, many people. And I'm learning a lot from all of you. And that is what I'm trying to put it in this, updating these books. Well, what are the questions and issues about leader or a manager? What is it about? Why do I have to really think of this topic? Well, first of all, is there a difference between a manager and a leader? Which one is more important and when? Well, many of you will say, yes, there's a difference between a manager and a leader. Could somebody just say what's the difference between a manager and a leader?
Okay, so if you wish to answer that question, you can either Iqbal has typed it in the chat window. Iqbal says there is a difference. He says leadership. Not sure. He wants to know the difference between a manager and a leader. So you can either type it in the chat window, or if somebody wants to, they can raise their hand icon. Click your raised hand icon, and I can unmute your line, and you can share your feedback verbally. Iqbal has typed in leadership has more broader scope than manager.
Mm-hmm. Very good.
Anybody else have any thoughts on that? You can either click your raised hand icon and I'll unmute your line, or you can type it in the question or chat window.
But if you are still thinking about it, think about it. And I think there will be a time at the end to ask questions. And we will go over those ones and your thoughts about it in a little bit more details. Is that okay? So the next question is, which one is more important? Everybody would say, yes, there is a difference. And then I say, which one is more important? And if you ask this question from a lawyer will say, yeah, both are important. And then I say, well, how are they related to the project life cycle? Which one is more important and when? And the lawyers will say, well, it depends upon how much you pay me. And that's when I will go to answer this question. What we are going to learn here is how management and leadership is related to the project life cycle. Because the project goes on, we go through, conceptual skills, conceptual planning, conceptual phase, detailed phase, execution phase, and the closing phase. And the question is, which one do you use and when? And what are the main management functions and skills?
Vijay, we have one feedback item. Corinne says a leader may be more strategic and bigger picture. The manager has to get things done and meet objectives, etc.
Very good. Right on. Right on. And that is really what we are going to differentiate few more ways and few more words. And then we are going to really talk a little bit more about leadership. Excellent. Excellent. What are the main management functions and skills? What are the characteristics of a leader and a manager? It's quite important for us as project managers because we sometimes come from the technical background. We get too much involved in a project and start really doing all the nitty gritties because to some extent, some people like that. So it is really their passion and they tend to get into those nitty gritties and the details of managing a project. But I think when the projects become big, you need to take your hands off a little bit and start thinking more strategically, as you said. What are the characteristics of a leader and a manager? What makes a successful leader? What are the roles of a leader and a manager? And then I'm going to point out to you how would you enhance your leadership skills. And there I'm going to talk about 5 leadership practices that most leaders follow. And if you look at those ones also, I think it will give you some idea how can I increase my leadership skills. What should you do when you have these questions and issues? And that is really what this webinar is all about. That's what you will take away. I'll talk about a model for achieving the most with people, main management functions, characteristics, roles of leaders and managers, leader or a manager, how it is related to the project life cycle, what makes a successful follower. And I do want to emphasize when you're talking about because leaders are more strategic thinkers, and in a project, there is always a lot of politics going on. So leaders have to focus a little bit and learn power, influence, and politics skills. These are the key leadership skills. Evaluate the leadership skills of your team members and develop strategies to strengthen your leadership skills. Well, this is a model that I developed, and I also had it in my PMI books, that in order to get the most out of your people, you need to have good teamwork, good leadership, and good communication. But in addition to that, what you need to understand is the internal and external cultural factors and politics, because there is a internal culture of an organization. What works in a post office will not work in a university hospital. Every organization has its own culture. So when you're talking about using your teamwork, leadership, and communication, it is important to understand those things and pay attention to that. Okay. So let's just talk about 5 basic elements of successful project management. And they are in the order of importance. Which one is the most important? Which one is the second most important? Third most important, and so on. So the most important thing is having the right people. Second most important thing is having the right people. The third most important thing is having the right people. So it is all about people, people, people. After that, you worry about how am I going to organize my project, whether it's going to be totally projectized, whether it's going to be a matrix, strong, weak, medium matrix, or whether it's going to be a functional organization, whatever the situation may be. And then you worry about the right software tools. Software tools are there to help you, but it really doesn't matter which software tool you use because they all produce the same kind of Gantt charts. Remember those Gantt charts? We all know that. They all produce the same kind of printouts and Gantt charts that people don't follow, right? And I think that's what we have to understand. So my emphasis is always people, people, people. And when I was saying this people, people, people 3 times, what I really meant was first one is the project champion, project manager, and the team leaders. So if you are a leader of an organization, that is what you will make sure that all high priority projects have a good champion assigned to them. And you as a project manager should also worry about that you have a champion. What is a champion? 2 key roles. They are interested in your project and want you to succeed. And secondly, they have enough clout in the organization to make things happen in your favor. In other words, the second role is more important to me. They have all the influencing skills needed in order to remove your roadblocks. That's the most important thing. So the project manager must really make sure that they do have a good champion. And then we need the team members. And the team members, we know that sometimes we all are selected on the FTE basis, and that is really what is assigned to you, but you find out your project is still lagging behind because the team members you have FTEs, you have the headcounts, but the brains are missing. That's the problem. In other words, they are not totally, the skill mix on the competence level is not up to what is really needed to do the job properly. So that's why we need the good team members. So in a way, so really have team members, not just with heads, but heads with brains. And sometimes if you don't have enough brains, you need to expand their brains. How do you expand their brains? Well, on the technical side, you need to give them the technical training. Then you need to give them the interpersonal skills training, the kind of webinars that I am doing. And then you need to teach them the leadership skills once they're ready to take on more and more responsibilities. Because in a corporate world, people get hired based on their technical skills, people get promoted based on their interpersonal skills, and people get fired due to the lack of leadership skills. And that is really what I mean. Projects are done by people, not by software packages. And this is really where the leader sits and the manager sits. The leader really worries about these people, people, people. Right project champions, right project managers who have the high integration abilities, project integration, and the team members means they have the right team members with the right skill mix, heads with brains. So the leader worries about the first 3 things, and the managers really, not all the time, but the managers worry about these things primarily, that I have the right software tools to monitor the project, to do the status updates to the organization and for the client, and so on. And the leaders worry about these 3 things. I think that's really one of the main way to differentiate. Okay, so let's get going. What are the main management functions? The main management functions are POEM, I call it, plan, organize, execute, and monitor. And how much time they spend on each of those, that depends upon the level of manager. And what I mean there is, these are the three management competency or the management skills. Technical skills, as I said, people get hired based on that. People get promoted based on interpersonal skills and get fired due to the lack of leadership skills, right? These are the three skills. And as you go higher up in your organization, then the requirements or how much of these skills you need, that distribution goes changes. As project managers, you do need a lot of technical skills. Or the starting project managers, you need enough interpersonal skills because you're dealing with people all the time. And maybe you can get away with a little bit of leadership skills if you're not involved in too much of strategic planning and so on. But as you go higher up and you become the program managers, you can delegate some of the technical skills, but you need more and more leadership skills. But as you go and when become portfolio managers and PMO directors, you need more and more of leadership skills, and all the technical skills required you can actually delegate to your project manager, and even some of the interpersonal skills as well. So that is what you have to understand. And what makes a successful manager is a thorough understanding of Timbot, because that really covers a lot of good stuff. Appropriate balance of technical, human, and conceptual skills. And the some key roles are communicator and a listener. Listener, if you really took that, communicator is important, but listener is more of a leadership ability as well. Verbal and non-verbal both. You have to be good integrators and interface managers, team builder, team player, administrator, analyzer, problem solver, trainer, and facilitator. Let's just understand this slide a little bit. Again, coming back to the same three skills we talked about, and these are the characteristics of a manager. Has to have all the technical skills required to do the project from project management point of view, and also some industry specific skills as well. Lots of interpersonal skills, and that is really, if they have all of that, they are still like a fair project manager. Have to have quite a bit of leadership skills, and the more of these they will have, the better project managers they will be. But as a leader, this is what the leaders have to do. That think about it, that most of the technical skills, except where they really interrelate with the strategy in the organization, they should be delegating to the project managers and not spend their time in this activity. Even some of the interpersonal skills, dealing with the holidays, dealing with the time offs and all those kind of things, which is minor things, they can delegate all of that as well, but concentrate and focus on the leadership skills. And they have to have quite a bit of that in order to become even a fair leader, and lots of that in order to become a good leader. The leadership is the key to leadership is having dreams. The key to success is making dreams come true. Effective leadership is the key. Leadership is becoming more and more important because we have a tough global competition these days. Okay? And there are complex negotiations and integration challenges because of global projects are more global, international projects, different cultures involved, different countries involved, different setups involved, so that there's a complex negotiations involved, and there's a decentralization of project management activities. Different people are doing different things for a larger project, and it is really, some of them are outsourced. So the leadership is very important for motivating stakeholders, creating high performance teams, and for innovation and creativity. What is leadership? I have come across different definitions, and there are many, many good definitions, but this is the one I like the most. This is by Vance Packard, The Pyramid Climbers. It's an art of getting others to want to do something you are convinced should be done. If you notice that there are some words which are in different color and are underlined, those are the key words to really make you a leader and for leadership. Like, for example, the first one is art. Leadership is an art. It's not necessarily a science. Leadership is not about doing things alone. It is getting others involved. Now, let's say that it's you take this out, use this and take the word want to out. How does it read? It's an art of getting others to do something you are convinced should be done. You're still convinced because management tells you to do it, but the big thing is want to. People, you have to create an environment. Leaders have to create an environment whereby people would want to do those things rather than have to do things. Because when people want to do things, they have fun, they enjoy it, and when you enjoy your work, you produce more and your performance is better. So let's leave the word want to out and take the convinced out. It's an art of getting others to want to do something that should be done. No, not enough. You have to have convinced there. In other words, you as leaders have to have a strong conviction about what you are trying to do. Because if you are not enthusiastic about that, you cannot propagate that energy among your people as well. So all of these words are important. Leadership is an art. You must involve others. You have to create an atmosphere whereby people want to do things, and you yourself have to have a strong conviction. If you don't, then you would also go wishy-washy, and that is really what some of these opportunists do. Opportunistic leaders, they're there to get the votes or to get just fame, but they really don't have a strong conviction. And actually, a strong conviction is also a kind of your spirituality as well. It really increases your level of commitment and it increases your lots of internal power to get things done. I'm not going to go into the details of that one, but what makes a successful leader are some attributes and skills. Attributes are natural but developed. That's where some people say, oh, leaders are born. So if you're not born with leadership skills, you can't be a leader. No, I don't believe in that. That's why we are teaching courses. Procept has got many, many courses in leadership as well, and I'm doing some of them as well. So leadership skills can be learned and practiced. And I think that's really what we talk about. And I do want to draw your attention to this word emotionally stable. Leaders have to stay emotionally stable. That's why we're looking for these days, not just IQ, but EQ as well. And now I actually, in my new book, I've come up with the third quotient, which is spiritual quotient. And that's very, very important. That's really where you get the strong conviction. Okay. And I think that is really what I mean, that because information is a source of power, communication is the linkage. So the ability to speak and present, yes, that's needed. And that is very, very important for a manager as well as a leader. And it has to be done in a persuasive way. And active listening is a very key skill for leadership, because that's when you understand where people are coming from. What do I have to do in order to convey my message properly? And then they have to align, influence, inspire, motivate, and support all stakeholders so that the strategies are all aligned with what project objectives are. And be politically sensible, very important. That's really what my fourth book actually talks about, is the art of positive politics and enhance trust and agreement among your stakeholders. So, leader or a manager, that was the main thing we talked about. Is there a difference? Yes, we have already identified the difference quite a lot. Which one is more important? Yes, both are important, and I will go over that. Which one is more important and when? How is it related to the project life cycle? It is quite, I feel pretty good that I was able to collaborate with Max Weidman. He's one of my mentors. He's 94 years old, now in Richmond Hill, staying in Ontario. This is the paper that we wrote with him, Project Manager to Project Leader, and the Rocky Road in between, which was published in 1994 PMI Symposium. So another definition, way to look at the difference between roles and leaders and managers is this. Project managers do, as I said before, plan, organize, execute, monitor. And the leaders inspire teamwork, align employees, set directions and visions, and motivate and support. This is what they do. Another way to look at that one is project managers. Managers emphasize on efficiency, and leaders emphasize on effectiveness. What's the difference between the two? Effectiveness is doing the right things, and efficiency means doing the things right. It means using your resources in an economical way and a better way, an efficient way, and so on. So the reason I say leadership is more important, because it is important to first of all address what are the right things to do. And that is really what leaders do, because they're more thinking, as one of you said, they're more strategic. They think about the long term. So they have to figure out what are the right things to do. Once we know what are the right things to do, you can always hire managers to do the things in the right way. Because if you are working on the wrong things and you have very efficient, and there's a very efficient system you have, and you have project managers who are very efficient, then you're just doing the wrong things more efficiently. And the interesting thing is, so it is very important to be effective, means do the right things. The same way you're doing exercise. In your exercise, it is more important to be effective, means you have to know which muscles in your body are the ones that you really need to work on, and so on, so that the half an hour, 20 minutes, whatever you're spending is really doing effective things in your body. Same thing in your life. What are the right things to do? Maybe, looking after the family. Work-life balance are the more important things to do, rather than just run, 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 and run. So if you just run too fast, why do we run? So that we can finish and be a winner. So if you run too fast without thinking what are the right things to do in my life, you just reach to the finish line faster, the finish line. So important thing is to enjoy the journey and make sure that you focus on the right things to do. So just the same words. So just a few more things to differentiate between leaders and managers. Managers worry about processes and methods. Leaders worry about what are the results, what are the deliverables. Managers worry about short term, leaders worry about long term. Managers worry about bottom line. Leaders also worry about the bottom line, but their main thing is the top line. Remember, they have to make people want to do things, and that is what their top line is. And another way to look at that is, I won't have time to go into the details of that one, but the leaders, managers only worry about the specifications, meeting the specifications, which is identified requirements, whereas leaders go a step forward and more and go after the unidentified requirements of your clients as well. And that is when they get not just the money that was signed on the contract, but also future jobs, future references, which is really most important for us. Okay. And so now the question was, which one is more important when? And this is really the things we drew in our paper as well with Max Weidman. He is really my mentor, actually. So these are the 4 phases: conceptual, develop, or detail, execute, and finish. I call it C, D, E, F. If I want to be oversimplify it, I can say these 2 phases is plan, these 2 phases are produce. And these are the typical major activities we go through. And what the main theme, main gist of this diagram is that as you go higher up and in the project life cycle, in the beginning, you need to put more of a leadership hat. That is when the conceptual or the feasibility study and the conceptual design is being done. That's where you have to be more visionary, creative, conceptualizer, analytical, innovator, and more of a leader, facilitator, and so on. But once these 2 things are done, then you can really put more of a managership hat, that now whatever we said we will do in order to increase our effectiveness is being done more efficiently. I think that is really what we're talking about. And I like to draw your attention to this last bullet: compulsion to complete. So the managers really have to become even hard-nosed administrator towards the end of the project to make sure that the project is finished, completed, and handed over to the client. Because there are too many projects which are 95% done, and the last 5% never finishes. And that is not really the situation we want to be in. So in addition to they were more of a leader, become really more of a manager here. I mean, they have to lead a few times as well, but at the end, you are really just more like a doer, trainer, technical writer, and administrator. These are the three important dimensions of team leadership. If you're really leading a team as well, and that is from a project point of view, from team members point of view, and from an organization point of view. Okay, so that's you're improving your team leadership. From a project point of view, you need to understand and make all your team members understand the project objectives, do a proper planning, scope management, and all that beautiful stuff that we all know from PMBOK. Then from the team members point of view, that you understand what are the team barriers, how do I select the team? Remember, heads with brains. And if you don't have enough brain in your team members, you are responsible as a leader to improve their brains by the training. Team structure, team building sessions, that's very, very important, team commitment, and really creating a culture where there's a lot of trust and respect for each other in your team. And then from organizational point of view, a team leader has to worry about, do I have a senior management support? And that's what I meant by a champion. What is the organizational environment? Is it conducive? Do we have to really worry about anything? Do we have organizational development specialists available? And do I have a management commitment? Because from time to time, it's not just the resources I needed in the beginning of the project. From time to time, I may need additional resources. Do I have a champion up there who can advocate my case? And management is committed to provide me the resources as needed. Now, let's just understand, to be a good manager and to be a good leader, this is a good slide actually to understand that how do you have successful followers? Whether it's as a manager, people working for you, or as a leader, these are the 5 things that most followers are looking for in you. Expectations. Please clarify the expectations. Your expectation. What do you expect of me? And I like to tell you what I expect of you. Opportunity. Give me an opportunity to perform. Also, from time to time, please give me some challenging assignment because now I'm capable and able to do more things. Feedback. When you have given me something to do, I need a feedback from you, honest and on a timely basis, and hopefully positive as well. Okay? Don't tell me at the end of the project that I was not really doing very well. It's good to know on an ongoing basis. Guidance and support, very important. And that is really your wearing both hats of a leader or a manager is very, very important. To some people, you have to give them more guidance and support in the beginning. But remember that 3 phases of a team: norming, storming, performing, and performing and norming. So once they have really become high performing people, then you really have to stop giving them the guidance. In other words, you don't need to breathe on their neck. So what people are asking is, give me guidance and support, Mr. Manager or a leader, but only when and where I need it. Leave them alone. That's very, very important sometimes when they're ready to go themselves and they're self-motivated project teams. And give me rewards according to my performance, because that's what I feel makes me feel good and is going to hopefully motivate me to do more and more as well. And I think it's very, very important. And what kind of rewards? I think that's very important to understand. The rewards are only effective, only those rewards are effective which satisfies the need of the people. Which needs? The needs that they value the most. Not what you as an organization think they should get, but what they value the most. And that's why it is very important to know your people, to know their lifestyle, to know them well, that what kind of rewards they would want. And remember that these rewards are different for different people, what turns them on, and also they change as you grow up, different phases in life. Like in the beginning, I want money, but when I have children in the school, growing up, 6-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old, but I'm looking for a little bit of a time off in order to watch their soccer game. Okay? So at that time, overtime money is not that important. So the reward is effective only when it satisfies the needs of the people. And which needs? The needs that they value the most. Okay? In addition to that, I think it's very important for the leaders, because when leaders, as one of you said, was worry about the strategic thinking. And if that is the case, they have to worry about politics, because whether you like it or you don't like it, there are always politics in project environments. Okay? You cannot change it, you cannot ignore it, and you cannot eliminate it. So the best thing to do is learn how to deal with politics. And I think there are the questions. What is organizational politics? Politics can be both positive and negative. So worry about the positive politics, which is how do we deal with each other effectively? Learn the types of political behaviors. Why do we have politics? How to control political behaviors? And who engages in politics? And what are the positions people take regarding their political behavior? So when you are managing your stakeholders as a project manager or as a leader, you have to understand where are people coming from, what are their political behaviors or positions. They could be naive. Some people are naive. Some people in your organization could be sharks. And what I really want you to become is politically sensitive. And in my 2-day workshop that we have, it is important to understand their attitudes, intentions, and strategies. And this is one of my 2-day seminars that I've been doing for PMI for many, many years, Power, Influence, and Politics. And this seminar is also available through Procept. It is in their catalog. That politics is one of the important factors. That inevitable and skillful politicking and power brokering are vital. And this 2-day workshop, now I have worked out and rearranged it. It can be split in 2 one-day workshops, because sometimes you do not have 2 day available for your project managers to go for training. And the first day we talk about influencing without authority, which means increasing your power. And the second day is the art of positive politics, which is after I have increased my power, which is mostly informal powers, how do I use my power so that I do not get clobbered? And that is really part of your positive politics. Okay. So if anybody wants this workshop or any of these one-day versions, please contact Kevin or at Procept, and we can arrange that for you and your organization. It's a very, very interactive workshop and has been really, really very popular with PMI and Project Word and with Procept. So let's talk a little bit about now how do I enhance my leadership skills? Well, this actually the work was done by Coos and Posner. And what they did was they interviewed many, many leaders and sent them the questionnaires. And they simply asked them, what do you do all day? And they came up with 5 leadership practices that most leaders follow. Most leaders do. First one is challenging the process. Okay, I'm going to go through that one. Let me just list this for you first. Then inspiring a shared vision, then enabling others to act, then modeling the way, and then encouraging the heart. So the first thing that leaders really do is challenge the process. They come out and say, look, guys, what we have been doing for the last 5 years is not good enough. We have to change it. Status quo is not good enough. As they say, if it is not broken, don't fix it. But the leaders say, if it is not broken, break it. Challenge the process. And that is basically, and if you say the status quo is not good enough, then people will say, okay, boss or the leader, if you do not like the status quo, then what should we do? And then the leaders come up with a vision. And the interesting thing about this statement is they have to inspire the vision, means that they have to really appeal to people's values, beliefs, and attitudes. And it has to be shared, means that the vision has to be prepared by everybody together, and everybody has to be on board. There has to be a participation as well as a buy-in. So once people know, okay, leader, Mr. Leader, I understand you don't like the status quo. Now you also have told us where it is that we are trying to go. We are ready to go. We are ready to run, but we don't know how. So that's where you have to enable others to act. And that is, you do that through training and through by examples and so on. So that is where you are increasing their professional strength, emotional strength, interpersonal strength, and so on, so that they feel more and more confident. Okay, and now you have to model the way. You have to show them how the overall things will be done. So now status quo is not good enough. I know which direction we have to go. You have taught me some good ideas, given me good guidance and ideas how to get there. Now show me how would it look like, and that is your model of the way, where you really celebrate the small accomplishments and so on, and you encourage the heart of everybody. And that's very important, and that's really what this motivation is all about. So this is really is a very good thing, and you can really get your managers up on the leadership scale by really making them work along these things. Okay, I mean, modeling the way and encouraging the heart could be. I mean, when I did this analysis in my classes by through a survey, we find out that quite a few project managers are very, very poor in encouraging the heart. They just think that, look, you've been hired on the project to do the job. Why do I have to be nice to you and tell you great job, great job, great job? No, everybody needs that stroking. Everybody needs that positive reinforcement in order to really get ahead. So leadership practices in a nutshell. I am really very heavy on acronyms. So when I was writing my PMI books, this is really what I came up with. Lead, listen to your project team members, because that builds trust among stakeholders. Encourage the heart of your team members. That's really what empowers and motivates your team members. Act as a real team, inspires team for high performance, and deliver the results with deliver the deliverables. It's not just about doing things, it is about producing things. Okay, and it has to be done with emphasis on quality. That's very, very important. Quality is the most important thing. Okay, so let's just talk a little bit about and what you have to do when you're doing this thing. The leaders have to really stay quite enthusiastic. And these are just some of the quotes that I like about leadership. Management is efficiency in climbing the ladder of success. Leadership determines where the ladder is leaning against the right wall. Management is doing things right. Leadership is doing the right things. It's the capacity to develop and improve their leadership skills and distinguish leaders from their followers. Alone, we can do little, so little. Together, we can do so much. And that's why the teamwork is very important. And Tony Robbins, I like that one, Tony Robbins thing. As soon as you truly commit, that's your conviction thing, is to making things happen. How you do it will reveal itself. So the important thing is to keep your face informed about your enthusiasm for yourself, your project, and the future. Because if you are not enthusiastic about yourself, no one else will be. And that is really what I mean by enthusiasm. You can only enthuse others if you believe in the last four letters. I am sold myself. If you notice that circle and the two circles I had to differentiate between the leader and a manager, that is what they are all about as well, actually. Remember, I was the inspired, and A was aligning employees, and S was setting directions, and the M was motivating and support. And it's the same thing in this way now, from an enthusiasm point of view, that I'm sold myself. So if you're not sold yourself, you cannot propagate that energy that you need in order to get the most performance from your people. And this is the journey to your leadership. Modify your attitude and behavior to create results that satisfy you and help others. So start now to be a leader, feel like a leader, act like a leader, express like a leader. Means talk about more strategy, talk about your love for your people and really what you care for your people. Be seen as a leader. It's not that you say something else and you do something else, right? Walk your talk. Follow other leaders. There's a lot to learn from other leaders in terms of how they think, in terms of what they emphasize on and focus on in their life. Now see and support the leaders in others. And that is really very, very important. Leaders create leaders. So see the support and support the leaders when somebody is showing a leadership in your team or in your organization, support it, and the rest will follow. This is what your job is, to create a leader. And I really just mean, and this is really just wanted to emphasize, or just wanted to point out to you, these are the various webinars that I have done. In March, on March 24th, we talked about analyzing your political landscape for project success, swimming with sharks without being eaten alive. Then in April, we did managing a multi-generational workforce, which is the reality of life these days. On May, we did the guide to developing trust and synergy. In June, we did creating self-motivated project teams. And now we are doing leader and manager, the art of balancing both. And there are some other topics, and I think which might be scheduling in the future, negotiating with confidence, mastering the win-win approach, art of positive politics, managing cross-cultural and virtual teams. In addition to these webinars we did, if any of you in your organizations wants to have half a day or a one-day workshop, please contact Procept Associates and we can organize those workshops for you, virtually or in person, but mostly virtual these days. And these are some of the other seminars that I do. Quite a few of them are on Procept catalog as well. Leadership, Power, Influence, and Politics was a 3-day, which I really made a 2-day version of Power, Influence, and Politics, which I said that I have also split in 2 one-day workshops, the art of influencing without authority and the art of positive politics. And the leader or a manager can be a one-day negotiating with confidence, managing cross-cultural, multi-generational, and virtual teams, creating high-performance teams, leading with emotional intelligence, could be a half-day to one-day, developing trust and synergy, and the one which is quite popular is analyzing your political landscape for project success, swimming with sharks without being eaten alive, creating self-motivated project team. We can also present keynotes or webinars or keynotes, especially for your organization if you like. So please contact Kevin at Procept and we can organize those things, and he can organize those things for you. In the end, I just want to finish this one with Mother Teresa's quote: do not try to do the great things, just do the little things with love. And it is really each step, you go step by step, and this is really how you finish the work. And similarly, the leaders, when you're encouraging the herd, then you celebrate small accomplishment. And that is really what gives them the energy to run to the next one. I think I am open for any questions.
Great.
Anybody has any questions at all, what we talked about or anything, I'll be more than happy to talk about it. These are my coordinates, my phone number and the website, but Kevin is the right person to contact first to get in touch with me.
Perfect.
Very
Thank you
much,
very
Charles.
much, Vijay. A great presentation. I really enjoyed it. Okay, everybody, if you'd like to ask questions of Vijay, you have two opportunities or three ways of doing so. You can type your questions in the chat window. If you can't find the chat window, type your questions into the questions window. Both are available through your web interface if you're dialed into this live webinar using your computer. If you're on a cell phone, those may not be available to you depending on which operating system you're on. So what you could do is click your raised hand icon and we can unmute your line and you can ask your question verbally. Although I do remind you that this call is being recorded, and if you ask questions verbally, your question, your voice will be recorded and that video will be shared on YouTube later. Okay, I do have a couple questions coming in, Vijay.
Okay.
So the first one is from Karen. And Karen says she has two questions. The first one is, could you speak further to the spiritual quotient? Many of my PM colleagues are working 50 to 70 hours a week and it's killing their spirit. Why is this happening?
Uh, that's a very good thing, Karen. Thank you very much for leading me to this question. Actually, my fifth book that we have finished the manuscript and should come out early 2022 is where I have written one part, which is 3-4 chapters on the spiritual leadership. And the spiritual leadership, because what I really believe that is what spirituality is, something that gives you a strong sense of conviction and commitment. And the spiritual quotient simply means mostly worrying about people and more internalizing, so that what I am doing, does it align to my internal values? So we talk about increasing your 8 internal powers, and that is really what gives you a higher spiritual quotient. And I called it in my book actually self-inspired leadership. So the spiritual quotient is basically more and more worrying about people and also internalizing your things, like more introspection as well. Sometimes you need to sit at the end of the day on your good lounge chair, or lazy boy chair, and say, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? Who am I doing it for? And important thing is in the life is to understand from spirituality point of view, we get the most happiness by giving, whether it's giving knowledge, whether it's giving power, and that's what empowering is all about, and really just enabling people. And when you do that and people are successful, you just say, wow. So I think the spiritual quotient is more and more worrying for people and worrying about yourself at the same time. So introspection is very important, because
Good.
whatever I'm doing, because most people in this world, we are looking for money, we are looking for fame, we are looking for status. But if you really ask people, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? The end answer is going to be, I want to be more happy. And
Excellent. So Karen
the more you
responds.
think about it, you think about it that happiness is not something that you can buy. Anything which is outside, it may give you happiness, but only temporarily. It is really your internal introspection. Have I
Okay.
answered your question, Karen?
Yeah, Karen has responded. She says, VJ, I agree. We need to be spiritually inspired leaders. And it says, new life skill is being a life coach PM.
Yeah,
Okay, very good. I
good.
have a
Good for your
Karen,
feedback.
Karen's second question was, can you speak further to the role of innovation and creativity in leadership?
Yes, and I think that is really where this innovation and creativity comes from, is the first thing that leaders come out and say, challenging the process. Status quo is not good enough. We need to do something different. And that is when people say, I don't know what the different thing is. Why? What do we have to do? I don't know how to get to that one. And that is where you need to do the experiment. Because if you look at innovation, is all experimentation. You have to do the experimentation, and that is really where you are really inspiring people to think out of the box, to be able to do things differently and not be worried about and not really put themselves and close themselves in the boundaries. And that is really where the innovation comes out. And the creativity part is basically expanding the potential of your people so that they are more creative. Again, thinking out of the box. And I think that is really what you have to do is first you have to understand it. Well, I'm not just going to keep doing things what I've been doing it for the last 15 years, 10 years, and so on. And that is really what I really meant about introspection as well. So I think the creativity is how do I do things differently? How do I really enable others? How do I inspire others to also think out of the box?
Good. Excellent. Next comment is from Farhad. Farhad says, never mind my own leadership development. He says, I work in an organization with ineffective managers and no leadership. What do I do?
I think you have to be, first of all, yeah, I mean, that's really where you need to know a little bit about the politics as well. Means when should you open your mouth and when you should not. But I think it really goes by example, by showing. That is one of the other part of spirituality is don't expect the world to change. You change yourself first. So in your own assignment, in your own small project, you display those leadership things. When you display those things, then those people are going to talk about that, oh my God, I worked for Farhad, and my God, he's such a fantastic leader. I really learned a lot, and I have expanded myself a lot, and I have broadened myself a lot. And when that happens, then maybe some of your senior managers may come to you and say, Faraz, what is this thing that you see? People seem to be talking about you. What do you do? And I think that's the kind of thing you do. And the most important thing is the culture of the organization as well. They have to have an open attitude, open culture to go out and realize it. And so this really, when we do this leadership practices, this is like a questionnaire of 30 questions. You first rate yourself. How do you see yourself as a leader? And then you give the same questionnaire to your team or to other people in the organization, just like a 360-degree feedback. And you find out how they view you as a leader. And then if there is a gap between the two, and that's what I do in this workshop, is how do you fill that gap? So yeah, you could be just start displaying your leadership and produce more and more, show it at the same time from politics point of view, make sure that you have a champion who spreads your ideas and really becomes your mouthpiece, in other words. You don't need to beat your own drum. You have to have somebody beating your drum, and that has to be your champion. I don't know if that answers your question.
Very good. Thank you very much. There's a comment here. It's not a question, it's a comment from Priya. She said this was an I'm assuming it's a she, said this was an amazing presentation. Thank you so much, Mr. Verma.
Thank you. Thank you, Priya.
If we have time for one more question. Oh, there's another comment here from Karen. What a great opportunity to hear Vijay today. I look forward to his next book. Vijay is a jewel. So
Oh
that's
my God. No, I am not. I'm really nothing. I am just a small drop in this whole ocean. And if I can really share my experiences and a little bit of the knowledge I have, that will be good for me.
That's great. Thank you. So there's time for one last question. If somebody wants to type it into the chat window, or you can click your raised hand icon and I can unmute your line and you can ask it verbally.
Sure.
While we're just giving people a chance to type in their question, I just want to remind you that this presentation, Are You a Leader or Manager, kind of flows nicely with a presentation we gave just a few weeks ago called The Organizational Role of the Supervisor, that distinguishes between supervisors and managers and the differences between those two roles. If you're interested in finding out more about that other topic, the video is free. Just go to procept.com, Procept, procept.com, and you'll see a link to it on the homepage, or you can search our YouTube channel and you'll find it there. This video for today will be is being recorded and will be uploaded into our YouTube channel within the next few days for later replay. And don't forget, you can claim a PDU. Project managers can claim a PDU for watching this video. The recording of this webinar, you'll get 1 PDU for attending this event. So look for information on that. If you need further information, you can email us at info@procept.com, info at procept.com, and we'd be happy to send you instructions on how to claim your PDU if you can't figure it out. Okay, any last call, any questions? Just type them into the chat window or the questions window, or click your raised hand icon. Okay, Vijay, it looks like there's no more questions. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank
Everybody,
you.
remember these webinars
Thank you,
are in a
everybody.
regular series and occur every 2 weeks throughout the year. Wherever you found out about this one, keep your eyes open for the next one.